Okay, welcome. Episode 3. I decided that co-parenting is a very important subject. And so I invited one of my co-parents, Megan, to join me today. Welcome, Megan. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Carly.
So, Megan, tell everybody who you are.
Well, I am Charlotte's stepmom, and I came into the picture when she was 9 years old. And I think, right?
9 years?
9, somewhere in there?
Yeah, 8 or 9.
8 or 9. And it was before COVID.
And now she's 14.
And now she's 14. Yeah, so it's been a minute, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been a minute. And this was important because I want people to realize that it doesn't go from the beginning of a co-parenting relationship to where we are now. It's not like a hop, skip, and a jump. Like we took steps to get to where we are today.
100%.
So whereas you're sitting in my bedroom and you know what I mean? Like this is not something that just happens overnight. So I kind of wanted to bring that to the forefront in this podcast because there are a lot of people out there and they're struggling with co-parenting and healthy boundaries and how do I get from here to there and what's best for my child, all of those questions. And so I thought, hey, let's do a podcast on it. So here we are
With our wine. Cheers.
Yes, got to have wine in the mix, right?
Well, the whole thing, right, it's just not traditional, right? It's supposed to be a man and a woman, they get married, they have their kids, and then they stay together. And obviously,
Right.
in this scenario, it didn't work out that way.
The knots.
And so here we are. And it's just it's a tricky balance, right?
It is.
For me personally, my biggest struggle, I think, in this whole thing is trying to figure out my place in Charlotte's life. And I'll just put this out for everyone to hear. I love her as my own child, but I also respect the fact that Carly is her mother. And I think that's hard for me at times because, Carly and I are very different people, but we at the same time, I think over the last several years have worked really hard to try and respect one another.
Yes, absolutely.
And I'm sure at times, Carly's thought something that I was doing was crazy. And I'll be honest, at times I thought something she was doing was crazy, but somehow we have found a way to work through it together.
Yes. And I think that's the important part. So I was thinking about it today. Like, do you remember the first time that we met?
Yeah, it was horrible.
Okay, so
it was horrible. I was so mad at Joe about that.
So you and Joe were dating for, I don't know, a month or two.
It was a little longer than that.
And I was like, can I please meet Megan? She's like with Charlotte all the time. I'd like to meet this person. And he kind of just ignored me. And that was the relationship. That was the co-parenting relationship that we started out with. It was very hostile and, the communication was bad. It was just not good. Right. So starting from that, and then all of a sudden, I think it was raining outside and I had like pajamas on. I was running out the door.
I think it was Super Bowl.
Yeah, something where I was running to my parents' house and Joe had come to pick up Charlotte and I opened the door and here you are. And I'm like, what the hell?
No, I remember because I was dressed for a party and
I was dressed
and Carly was dressed to go to her mom's.
I'm like,
I was like, Joe, this was a horrible setup. You should have at least given Carly the heads up.
Zero warning.
I mean, I was trying to make a great impression, and
me too,
obviously Carly, she didn't have a clue.
No,
and I saw the look on her face, and immediately as a woman, and I just wanted to do everything and say, I am so sorry.
Yeah.
This is not the way that I wanted it to go.
Oh, man.
Yes, I remember that.
So that was our first encounter. And then I think there was a time when Joe and I were having issues and there just was no co-parenting happening for a while. Like it was a challenge.
It was awkward. Let's be honest.
It was. And I think it was
pretty awkward
until Max was born and we got, all the court stuff settled and stuff. And then it was like, okay, we got to figure this out because it was just, something would happen and Charlotte would be so upset. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. And it was just really difficult. And so I think, I don't know exactly what happened, but I think you talked to him and was just like, listen, we gotta do something here.
Well, I mean, I don't know how much of this but I'm a big believer in the boundaries part of it. And I think early on, Joe didn't really know how to navigate those waters, what that looked like. Honestly, he wanted to make you happy. He wanted you to feel like your relationship with Shar was everything it was going to be, even after you guys had separated and divorced. And I just think he didn't know how to like figure out that
Take a step
why
back
and
from it. Mhm.
and what that looked like. And I think
Yeah.
in the process, he kept just saying yes and okay to everything that you wanted. And in that developed this, he didn't know where he fit in and how
Right.
what he could do and what he couldn't do. And so that's why I pushed him very hard for you guys to go back to court and work
Yeah.
through this stuff, because I wanted him to stand up for him as himself as a father, but
Right.
also to make it clear that like Charlotte needs more stability when you guys are co-parenting,
Mhm. Absolutely.
and you guys really needed to work it out, because it wasn't fair that, like on Christmas, she was put in 4 different places.
Yeah.
And
It was
all
rough
over
for a
the
while.
place.
It was rough for a while. I'll be honest, because this was my first divorce too. So it's like, we were kind of all new at this. Like, what is this supposed to look like at this point, And it was hard because we were so used to for 13 years doing the same thing.
Mhm.
And you go from that to this, and it's like, okay, all of a sudden I'm upset, you're upset, our daughter's upset. Like, what do we do? So unfortunately, we had to get courts involved. But I mean, we did it, amicably as well as possible. As soon as that part was done, though, I think that didn't you help push for co-parenting therapy? Because I wanted that and he didn't want that. And then all of a sudden we were doing it. And I had a feeling it was you like, hey, this is important to like go to co-parenting therapy and figure this out for your child. Right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in talking it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's something, that's healthy to do.
Mhm.
It's not easy to do. A lot of people are not open to the idea of talking through things, especially
Yeah.
when it's different, difficult subjects. I mean,
Mhm.
here we are. This isn't easy, but we're doing it.
Yep.
And I think, first of all, it was Joe trying to figure out the boundaries so he knows, he does have a say. But then it was the next step of you guys working it out and talking it through.
Yeah.
For not only you and Joe to know you were good, but for Charlotte to know that you and Joe were good.
And I think that's the most important thing. And I remember once we all started behaving nicer to each other is the only word I can think of. I could see it in her. She felt lighter. I could see that she wasn't shredding the exchange or, didn't want to talk about dad over here or vice versa. I didn't want her to feel bad about being excited to do something with you guys or being excited to do something with us. I wanted it to be one thing that she was just excited in general. Do you know what I mean?
So when do you think it all changed? Because I have a specific thing.
Do you?
I have
Okay,
an
I
event.
don't know. Okay, tell me.
Oh, well,
Oh, you have to tell me.
okay. No, I'll tell you. So,
Okay.
all right. During COVID, Charlotte, was turning, I don't know, what was
her
she?
birthday.
10, 11,
Oh
12?
my gosh, what was it?
I don't know what birthday it was.
Yeah,
But
11 maybe?
But birthdays are always tough, right?
Yes.
Because obviously Carly wants to spend some time with Charlotte and Joe wants to spend some time, and just the way the scheduling all works
It was
out,
COVID. You're right. Yeah, continue.
it makes it tough.
Yeah.
And I told Joe, I'm like, the right thing to do here is give Carly the opportunity to spend time with her daughter on her birthday and the entire family. Like it may not be comfortable for you. It may not be something that you want to do.
Right.
But it's something that is the right thing to do. And I'm just so happy that we did it.
Yeah, because we showed up, my parents, my grandparents, my sister, we all showed up. We were like, yes.
So the whole thing was the drive-by
party.
birthday where they all
Yeah.
surprised her in their in their
like a
cars and
parade.
had the parade and all of that. And Charlotte loved, just getting to see how everyone decorated for her, and was surprised to see, I think for the first time, like
All
just
of us
how
all together.
our
Yeah.
whole family kind of came together.
Mhm.
And I think that was nice for her to see that
absolutely.
for the first time, like we were comfortable with the idea of being together.
Yeah.
So that was like a pivotal moment for me.
Yeah,
I
think for all of
we
us,
definitely
yeah.
got past the awkwardness of it. I
Yeah.
mean, I felt better about it. After
Yeah.
that.
Oh, no, absolutely. We absolutely did too. And then I think going from that, it was kind of like, well, what else can we all do together that, like now we do Christmas cookies together. I know Lauren couldn't come this year, but like the year before we all did Christmas cookies, and you and Joe came over for Christmas Eve with my family. It's just to be able to do those things together sometimes is nice. And
Yeah.
I I think that it shows Charlotte, hey, this is, not an ideal situation, me and your dad not being together, but look at all these people that love you and that we can all be in the same room together. And I think we all get along well. You get along with my parents and
Oh, I love your parents.
yeah. So, I think it kind of worked out really well. I feel very lucky that Joe married you because
Oh, thank
I just feel like you kind of fit into our family. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, and Lauren too. We
Yeah.
love Lauren.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I agree. I think it's nice to have everyone together. And I think it's even better that there's no tension there.
Yeah.
There's none of the awkwardness. I think Charlotte knows when we all get together, what to expect.
right.
That we're going to be, talking to one another, including each other and whatever it is.
Yes.
And it doesn't happen every week. It doesn't happen every month, but for holidays, sometimes it works out like that. And primarily my big reason for doing it is I grew up in a household where my parents separated when I was a teenager and I went to live with my grandparents. And so not only did I have the parent dynamic where I'd go spend time with my dad and I'd spend time with my mom, but then I'd also spend time with my grandparents. And I remember constantly being torn in different directions. And I didn't want that for Charlotte. I wanted her to feel like we could all be together under the same roof and we were doing it for her. So it feels good to know that we've come full circle and we're here.
So let's talk a little bit about like how we got here and the things that we do, because one of the things we've done a couple times is our parent meetings.
Yeah.
Where you guys will come over and we'll kind of just lay it out there. These are the issues. What are we going to do? How are we going to deal with this situation that Charlotte got herself into? Or there was one point where we were talking about moving out of state together as a whole unit. You know what I mean? We're done with California. Let's leave.
Yeah.
So that's not something that is typically talked about, know, but I think that having co-parenting meetings is important.
Yeah, I think that's helpful because we can all sit down and talk about the issues together and try and agree on something that we can all get behind.
Yeah.
And I mean, our parenting styles are all a little different, but I think when we sit down together, it definitely makes a big difference.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to write down. So I have like some questions that we were kind of kicking around and stuff, and I'm trying to see if there's anything that we want to talk about. I know you had mentioned something that you'd found at work.
Oh, yeah. I've been listening to like courses online. So I work at a pregnancy clinic here in Roseville, and they have all kinds of great incentives where women, they come in, they watch parenting classes, birth control, relationships, a variety of things. And I just kind of stumbled upon this co-parenting class. And so I watched it online and I thought it was really, a good way of breaking it down, how to create a healthy co-parenting relationship. And they also talk about all the ones that are not healthy. And we were there. We have been there.
Yeah. And we're there, unfortunately, on the other side.
Yeah, with Bailey.
Yeah. And it's hard because you don't want that. You don't want that for, your children. And I see the struggle that they have and, and it is hard. Children are not stupid. They know, they see, they hear. And so it's really hard and it's not anything you ever want them to go through. And I really wish that the co-parenting on that side was healthier because it would just be better for everybody involved. So at least we have our side with you guys and that's going. I just keep praying that it happens on that side as well.
I think just to speak to that a little bit, it's just giving each other a little grace. I mean, at times we're not going to agree. And, I think also a level of respect, getting there has been important.
And flexibility.
Yeah. So, but when, you have someone who's rigid and wants things a certain way and their way, and that's the only way,
it's hard.
That's not going to work. So really, I think both parties have to agree to kind of find a common ground. And if you can't do that, then it's going to be challenging.
Yes. Very challenging. And we've even read a couple books. There's so much information out there for co-parenting relationships and how to get out of toxic ones and healthy boundaries and all of it. So I think everybody should read at least a couple if they're in a co-parenting relationship, especially if you're struggling with it. But I think honestly, it comes down to the kids. Like what is in their best interest and what can we do to foster that relationship with you guys and you guys with us. You know what I mean? It's just really about how they're going to feel. You know what I mean? I feel like I've already said this a million times, but it's about how is Charlotte going to look back at her childhood and how is she going to see her family? And are they fighting all the time? Does she feel really sad when she goes to one house versus the other because she knows the other parent is upset or vice versa? And it's not like that with us anymore. I don't know if maybe it was a little bit at the beginning, but I think that we've all grown up and grown, really tried to make our relationship stronger for her. And I think it shows. I mean, we all hang out. You hang out with my husband. He pokes you with needles. You poke us with needles.
We're both nurses. I'll just say that right now. So that way we can clarify what she meant by that. But yes, we're just trying to build, friendships. And I think not every, co-parenting relationship is like this. But, fundamentally, if you can sit down and agree that, it's for the kids and it's the benefit of the kids, then it's just building off of that.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. What else? Is there anything else we want to talk about? I feel like we've covered so much in such a quick time. Let me see where we're at. 17 minutes. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if there's anything else. I mean, do we want to touch on toxic ones? I really don't know if we want to dive into that. That's kind of deep water right there. How important do you think it is to seek support and advice from others in similar situations? That's the same thing with co-parenting therapy, right? Or talking to people who have kind of that relationship that you're looking for.
Well, I mean, I haven't, to be honest, most of my friends, they don't have the same situation that I do. However, I have reached out.
We are lucky
to, other friends of mine, moms, and just trying to bounce ideas off of them. And, like I know one topic that I'm sure we could bring up right now is the whole topic of Instagram, right? Like, do we want to do social media, not do social media? We know everybody's doing it. Charlotte wants to do it, and I'm like very strong on waiting a while. And I think you're more under the impression of maybe giving her the opportunity to give it a shot. But I just, that was a topic that I reached out to with some of my friends. It's bounce some ideas off of them, see what their thoughts were. And, they shared their stories, how they've let their kids do it. And then their kids didn't want to do it anymore or things like that. So that's one topic where I've reached out to people just to get their 2 cents since they have high schoolers.
Yeah. But just for background, Charlotte wanted Instagram. Alex and I were a little bit okay with her giving her the responsibility of it as long as it's private. You guys did not agree. And we kind of talked a little bit about it and we decided as co-parents to take a pause on it and check back in a year or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that's something to be said about us disagreeing on something is we kind of put our 2 cents in and then just said, well, it's going to be a no for now, but not a no forever type of thing. And I think that's important to know. We don't always agree. Like, even though we have a great co-parenting relationship, we don't always agree. And that's, to be expected. Nobody agrees on everything.
And I'm super thankful, because Carly easily could have just put the kibosh on the whole thing and not, respected kind of where I was coming from on it. But at the end of the day, and I don't know if I had a chance to tell you this, but just wanting to protect Charlotte a little longer from,
I get it.
From all of that.
There is a lot of nonsense and gross, scary things out there. So I totally.
But again, that's the heart, right? Like wanting to just keep her innocent for a little bit longer and not have her exposed to everything else that's going on. But also understanding that at some point, I mean, she's going to be old enough to be driving here soon. And I mean, so there's a lot of things, right, that she's going to be getting to do. And so, with age comes more responsibility and having to, giving her the opportunity to learn from mistakes and learn from things like that. So,
but see, she gets 4 parents instead of 2. So there's 4 people watching her back and keeping her on her toes. And I think that's important to mention also is that, that your ideal situation isn't divorce, but when you get to have 2 sets of parents, 2 loving sets of parents that actually care about you, it's kind of nice. You get 2 households that want what's best for you. So I think that she's kind of a lucky girl.
Yeah. I mean, I hope she feels that way.
Yeah, I think she does.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is there anything else you want to talk about? I feel like we're pretty awesome at this. I mean, we're through, let me see.
Well, we might have to do a part 2 now that we've introduced, the relationship.
Yes.
Maybe we could dive into something more specific next time.
We can maybe ask the boys to join us too. I think Joe probably won't say much, but Alex is a talker. So
I'd be curious to see what Joan has to say.
yeah, I mean, maybe he will. Yeah, I mean, I think all of these questions are great, but I feel like we've kind of already talked about a lot of these things. I think that coordinating responsibilities, I know we've talked about that previously, like, hey, what do you guys have her do chore-wise at your house? We want to be kind of consistent with how we're raising her in our household versus your household. And I think that's kind of important too. You don't have a household that's super strict and one household that you don't have to do anything in, so we've kind of talked about that, which we probably should connect again and kind of get on the same page. I feel like her chores have kind of gone
I think that happens.
Yeah.
So I agree. That's probably a good idea.
Yeah.
I think it's probably good to check in,
Yeah.
every so often.
Yeah, we haven't had a parent meeting in a while.
Check in a little while.
Yeah, we should do that.
But also having her sit down with us and then hearing it all from us at the same time, I think is huge. That's one thing I've noticed. Like,
yeah.
She
doesn't like it very
much. No, she hates it. But
Yeah.
then she knows that we all have said the same thing or agree on it. And then she hears it. And I think then, she has a tendency to follow through more just because she's not like, oh, my mom thinks one thing, but my stepmom thinks something different. We're all on the same page.
Yes. Agreed. And we should set that up and do a parent check-in because that's been a while, I think, since we've done that.
Well, she's such a good kid. We don't have to do that all.
Yeah, which is great. But yeah, I feel like even when we don't, like Alex and I have marriage check-ins, even when it's going great, just to kind of check in with each other. So I think it's good to kind of do that, be on the same page, with each other.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, that is our co-parenting episode, and I'll get some feedback and see what everybody thinks, and we'll probably do another one.
Yeah.
Maybe invite the boys. We'll see.
Let us know what you like.
Yeah.
What
or if you have any
want to hear
questions,
us talk about.
Yeah. If you have any questions about anything that we said or anything that we didn't talk about. I did get a lot of people asking about how to navigate out of a toxic one, which we really didn't touch on too much, but maybe we could do one about that. I hate to go on the dark side.
I think I need more wine for that.
Yeah, or some shots or something.
Just bring the whole bottle in.
Yeah. But thank you for joining us on episode 3, and we will talk to you later. Bye.